Congressman West, is it time for the government to be shut down if the White House and Congress can't agree in order to force the president's hand and compel him to do what we hired him to do, which is run the government within the confines of the Constitution and only with the money he collects from taxes and other fees?
Well, you're absolutely right, Judge. You know, what we have to look at is the president is the chief executive officer of this corporation called the United States of America. The president is the chief executive officer of this corporation called the United States of America.
If it's a corporation and you are a citizen/member of a corporation, there's nothing for you to be but a employee/servant.
Grand Risings, brothers and sisters. Welcome to another episode of the Black News Network. This is from the desk of the Emissary, the real voice of Military City, USA, bringing you the news from a black perspective. We don't own the rights to the music, but we do own the rights to what we say. I'm War Smith, your host. Thank you for viewing. First of all, don't forget to go to YouTube and become a subscriber to the Black News Network -8, BNN, and leave your comments in the show. Don't forget to join us on Facebook and Instagram and say hello or tell me what you might want to discuss. Today, we're talking about something that's totally different than what you may feel comfortable talking about. And that is, excuse me, what happens after a funeral? In a few hours after you go to the funeral of a loved one, people start to fade away. The crying dies down, except for the immediate loved ones of that person who passed. But most of the people that go, they're going away looking for certain things. Now they want to go to the repast, which is where you go and you celebrate the life of the person who just passed away. You go in and you fix your dinners. Everybody's got food. Everybody brought a plate, so everybody can have a little fun remembering the person who passed. So that repast is exactly what it is. You went through the funeral preparation stage where you went to the funeral home and they drug you across the coal and took your money for everything that they could possibly get. Then you went to the church where you had to give the pastor a little token of your appreciation, and it's always about money. And then after you do that, then you go to the repast where now it's time for you to have a dinner in recognition of that person who just passed away. So now you're supposed to be celebrating the life of the person who died. But in reality, people go there to get drunk. They go there to network. They go there to meet other folks. They ain't been more thinking about that person that died than they were at the funeral. So again, what happens after the funeral? Things that you can't get back is happening. So after you get through with the funeral arrangements, you got the food and drink at the repast. Now, some of you will call and say, hey, I'm sorry I couldn't make it. Some of your friends call and say, sorry I couldn't make the funeral. I had this going on, that going on. I couldn't make it. So you start to get these calls where people saying that they're not going to make it. Oh, and also the person had a job more than likely that passed away. So now the employer is now out looking for somebody to replace you, to put somebody in the seat where you are no longer there. They want somebody to replace you to do the damn job because they don't give a damn. They paid their respects, and now life must go on according to them. But the families and the loved ones, the real loved ones of those people that lost that person are still in mourning. But that job don't give a shit. They about to hire somebody and get it on. They want to move on with everything that they got going on, back to normal, nobody looking back, giving a damn about what you have just lost. In a month or in a month, if you are married, your spouse is getting back into the groove of things, going back out, socializing, or doing whatever they are doing, you don't think they're going to become a hermit, do you? You think they're going to forget life exists because you just died and we just buried you? No, they're not. They're going to continue to live. And then in order for them to live, they're going to go out and meet new people, do new things. And hopefully they're doing it at your expense because you did leave them a great insurance policy so they can get out and do what they do. You know, that's kind of harsh and hard reality that we have to face, that when you die and you're dead and gone, all of the things that you've accumulated over the life don't mean shit. Don't mean shit to you because you ain't taking it with you. And like they always say, you ain't never seen a U-Haul hauling a hearse to the cemetery. You don't. Your children go back to work. They act like business as usual. There's nothing really that they have to consider or think about all the time. Also, if people forget you so easily when you die, but you spend your whole life worrying about what people think about you and what people have to say about you, how can you equate worrying or giving a good goddamn about what somebody thinks about you when you die, ain't nobody gonna waste a minute of their life thinking about you being dead. They're gonna pay your respects and give you the condolences, but when you're gone, you're gone. You will be forgotten so easily. Once you die, people will forget you so easily, it is unfreaking real. Then you get your tombstone, with some cemeteries so goddamn slow it don't make no sense. Buy a funeral home. I'm sorry, I gotta shout out and tell you that. You're gonna have to do better with getting these people their tombstones and placed on their graves. That's what happens. So today's discussion is all about things that you lose that you can't get back. You really can't get a redo of a first impression. Your first impression is exactly what it is, your first impression, and it ain't gonna be a time for you to redo it. So why are you concerning yourself about what other people think about you? It doesn't correlate. Your first impression is your first impression, whether they like it or not. Even if you got everything, every hair in place, every beard trimmed to the perfection, your breath smelling good, your eyeglasses are clean, you are dressed to the till, and you walk in the room and people don't want to even recognize that you're there. They do that all the time because they're haters. They already don't like you. So when you die, what makes you think they're going to like you anymore? But they're going to come to your funeral and some of them going to fall out on the floor. Some going to be crying quiet tears, and some going to be crying like buffalo alligator tears. I'm just trying to be realistic and put a little humor in it, but it's a very serious, very, very serious matter. When people die, you cannot get back what was lost. So once you are gone, you are gone. And why am I talking about this today? I'm talking about it because so many times we pass up the opportunity to go and thank a person for being a person, or for being the person that they have grown to be, regardless of what they are. That ain't got shit to do with you. That's their life. They can be whoever the hell they want to be. And it's your responsibility to respect that person and respect who they are and love them the way they are, despite what you think they should be. Just because they don't do what you want them to do, you're not going to like them. You're not going to give them the respect of growing into the age that they've grown into, whether it's 12 or 20 or 30. It doesn't matter. The fact matters is that that person has grown into the person that they want to be. Now, you may want to look at yourself as the person who designs your child, or who molds your child into being who they are. And you're really not. That child's destiny is already laid out. That child's mentality is already laid out. That child's attitude is already laid out. You are just a shepherd. That's all you are. As a parent, you are just a shepherd. And the shepherd does what? You try and guide your flock to greener pasture. You try and guide your flock to where they can eat better, greater grass. You can't make them eat. You can't make them do this or make them do that, but you are a guide, not a creator. You didn't create that child. You nurtured that child, and you nourished that child, and you acted as a shepherd to that child, because if you look up the definition of shepherd, it's going to tell you that you are a nurturing guide and that you lead someone to greener pastures. You can't push them there. You can't do anything else. You can only nudge and recommend them to go to those greener pastures. You cannot do that first time as a shepherd. If you miss the mark when you were raising a child, then that ain't nothing that you need to hate yourself for, because everybody ain't no damn good shepherd. I'm gonna just put it like that. In other words, everybody ain't a damn good parent. Everybody ain't a damn good shepherd either. Sometimes you take them to the wrong damn pastor. And in that pastor, if they gonna eat what's in that pastor, then they are gonna be product or byproduct of what they have eaten from that pastor. In other words, you take your child to the best schools, the best neighborhoods. You get them the best clothing. They become mentally understanding, being at that level where they no longer can understand what's happening on the bottom tier. So let's say you lost all of those riches and you had to move back down to whence you came. That you've tried your damnedest to forget where you come from, but it's instilled in your genetic being. You can never forget where you came from. Those people that go out and do social work and that try and help other people and always got a giving spirit at heart, those are the people who never forget where they came from. They're trying to relive where they grew up and the nurturing and the belief and the value systems that they learned as a child. They want to keep that nurturing, that shepherd part that they receive moving. Now they become the shepherd, and they're going to do the things to the people that are surrounding them that was done to them. But sometimes as a nurturer, as a shepherd, We want to go spend $200 on a bale of hay, basically, on the really good hay, rather than just giving them the grass to eat, the basics, the normal things that most people get. You want to go get that Bermuda shit, that good shit. You can't do the regular old homegrown shit. You got to go get that good shit. You got to get them red bottom shoes. Cardi B. You got to get them red bottom shoes. You got to get that money. You got to make sure your child got on them Nikes. You got to make sure your child is living large. When they go to school, they got all the right clothes on, the name brand jeans, the name brand jerseys, jackets, the name brand hairdo. But we really have to get back to the basics. We're going to have to get back to what God gave us, which is a natural ability to be a shepherd and to allow a child to grow the way God designed them to grow. But when we put them in bad situations, then those situations have a tendency to alter the direction or the trajectory that child has been placed on by God. The environment changes the trajectory of that child. And if you take the environment and not allow the environment to be conducive to where you want your child to grow, then expect what you get. If you grow your child up fighting and cussing and beating and arguing and stealing and robbing and whatever the case may be, drug use, if they see all of these things that you're doing, which you cannot hide those things, then that child is going to turn into, a child's going to have those traits. Those things are going to carry over with that child, so that child growing up. And who knows, if it's a natural thing, if that child likes what they saw when they saw you doing all these things, then they're going to grow up trying to emulate what they saw you doing, and it's going to cause problems. It's going to be a situation where these children are practicing what you preach. That's what they're doing. They're practicing what you preach. You know, a mother's love and comfort, a father's love and comfort is something that you don't get but once. You only get that one time, and that's through the life of that parent. And once you go through life and you miss it, you are not going to get it back. When your parents are gone, then you can forget it. You will never, ever have the level of nurturing and care that you had when your parents was here. You can find it in another man, you can find it in another woman, but you're never going to find the level of nurturing and care that you found in your mother or that you found in your father. So when you take the time and not pay homage, your days will be shortened. Now, that's not me talking. You've read it in the scripture. When you don't honor your mother and your father, your days will be shortened. That means basically, so la vie, you might die before your parents. Now, that don't mean that's the case in all cases. That means that that's the general norm of the belief that this is what happens. Now, today is Sunday, and this is Black History Month. And it always brings me back to how our mindset, our mentality is shaped and formed to believe in certain things. Now, one thing that I want to mention, and don't get me wrong, I am a believer in God, a believer in Allah. But I also want you to know that I refuse to be told every week that I am inadequate. I am not doing the right thing, and the only way I'm going to get to heaven is to repent. Well, how many do I repent every Sunday? Do I repent once in my life by being baptized? Who's to say that you have to go to church to be told that you are inadequate, that you have failed at every freaking thing you have done? I do not need a person standing up in front of me telling me how effed up I am. I live it every day. I know who I am and how I am. I know that I have repented and done what I was supposed to do. So I don't need a refresher course every week, 52 times a year, to be told that I'm inadequate, that I'm not living according to the scripture or the way somebody expects me to live. You have to come to a point in your life where you ask yourself, how real is all of the things that I'm being told? And you got to realize you can't just continue to go and do what your ancestors did. It worked for them at one time, and it doesn't mean that it's going to work for you at this time. This is hundreds of years later, and you're still practicing the same thing that you were practicing 100 years ago. 50 years ago, black people were doing 50% better than they're doing today. Now you've had some people that find their niche in music and entertainment, but there's more to life than music and entertainment. Why hasn't your history been told? Your history has not been told because your history will place you in the roles of kings and queens, which is where you are. You are the original Jews. You are the person who the Pope prays to, a person of your color with melanated skin. The Pope prays to a melanated Mary. Madonna, that's who they call. The Pope does that. So all I'm saying is you have to realize that the things that you're not going to get back is the lifespan that you spend living a lie. You spend your whole life living this lie thinking that you need to go get told you're inadequate every single Sunday, and then you're going to go to heaven. And then when it's time to get there, you don't know if you're going or not because you're dead. No man alive today can tell you whether you're going to heaven or hell or whether you're going anywhere. Only thing they can honestly, unequivocally tell you is that you're either dead or alive. Anything else is vague. It's in the gray area. You're either dead or you're living. That's it. Everything in between is a gray area. Nobody can tell you if you got cancer. I mean, they've gotten so good at it, they can say, well, you got stage 1, 2, 3, 4. They can say whether you're at 3, whether it's gone. And if it's gone, then it comes back, then it really wasn't gone to start with. It was so low that it could not be detected by man-made items, man-made tools. So who's to say that it's real? There are things that you as adults now have or you've discarded, and then you look back and you say, man, I should have kept that. I should have not let that go. I should have had all these things today that I got rid of back then. There's nothing you can do about that. These are things that you are no longer going to be in possession of. And if you keep looking back, then you eventually going to tail end somebody or run into a wall that you didn't see, because you're spending more time looking behind you than you are looking in front of you. Forget about the mistakes you may have made. Forget about the roads that you didn't cross when you should have crossed it. Forget about the course you didn't take when you should have taken it. Forget about the relationship you should have stayed in when you didn't stay in it. Forget about it, because if it's yesterday, if it's a minute ago, if it's 10 years ago, it is over. It is done. It is nothing that you can do today to bring back what has happened yesterday. Nothing. You don't have that power. God ain't giving you that power. So let's not get it twisted and start thinking that if we can will something back into fruition just by thinking about it and worrying about it. Worrying is probably the worst feeling, the worst used feeling that anybody can ever use. Why would you be running around here worried about something that you could or could not have done? You shouldn't have to do that. You got to let it go. Look forward. Lean forward in the trenches. Stop looking at the things that you lost and start looking at what your potential, what you have the potential to lose for looking back. Stop looking back. Look forward. What can you lose if you keep looking back? A whole lot more than you've lost already, because you're still alive, you still got a life to live, and you still got a place to go. That time you had a chance to say stop. That time you had a chance to say no, don't do that. That time you had a chance to stop one of your friends from driving that car when you know they were drunk. That time you had a chance to stop your friend from robbing that store. That time you had a chance to stop your friend from going to get a gun because they're mad at somebody. You didn't take any action, so now you got to live with that. There are things that you could have done to have prevented things happening in other people's lives if you'd paid attention. But we're so busy running our own route. We have no time, no intention on looking at the person in the car, I'm just using a metaphor, in the lane next to you to see if they may need some help, or see if you can show them which route to take in order to get to the success you're at. You have that power, you have that potential. But if you're doing it, that's another question. That's another thing. As you know, LeBron James scored 38,387 points to top Kareem Abdul-Jabbar 50-year-long record of all-time scorer. LeBron did a great job doing that, but LeBron still got a long way to go. But I will give LeBron this credit. He's the only activist on the NBA that ain't been suspended or fined for anything, but that he say when it comes to his activism supporting black people. He's the only one. The only one. Today is Super Bowl Sunday, and everybody and their mama out there betting on something. There's over 50 million people placing bets on the NFL game. Many people are just going to watch Rihanna on the halftime show, but many others are there in support of their football team. They want to see their football team get through it. Now, I don't know if you've heard this already, but Social Security and Medicare has been, the Republican Party is trying to put that on a sunset clause. In other words, every 5 years, they have to re-vote on it, or they are no longer, it's no longer active. If they don't re-vote and reapprove it, it automatically goes away when the sunset goes down, the time period goes down. That means it's out. And we, as Americans, have paid into Social Security, Medicare, all our lives. So all we're saying is, why are you trying to take care of something, trying to get rid of something that we paid for all this time? It doesn't make much sense, does it? But that's what we do. That's what our government does. You know, our government is not Democrat and Republican. But if you really want to know the rule, the laws that Democrats and Republicans run this country are a damn lie. It's a goddamn lie. This is a house of republic. America is a republic, and that is ran by a corporation, which is the United States government, which is the Republicans and the Democrats, which are branches of the corporate America. Lyndon B. Johnson was president when Martin Luther King died. Lyndon Johnson was president when Malcolm X died. So why am I saying that? Why was Lyndon B. Johnson saying things like, we got to give these niggas something because they're getting too mad and getting too powerful right now. So let's do something for them. So you want to know what he did? He ratified, or tried to ratify, the 14th Amendment. What does the 14th Amendment do, y'all? The 14th Amendment gives you citizenship in the United States. Now, is citizenship a right, or is citizenship a privilege? In the case of Lyndon Johnson, citizenship in the United States of America is not a right. It's a privilege. In other words, if they decide to remove you from that privilege, they will. They will. They can take that privilege whenever they want to. You know, I was doing a little research a week ago about Black Panthers. The Black Panthers did something that none of America has done. The NAACP ain't done it. SNCC didn't do it. All these other so-called black pro organizations didn't do it. And why do you think the NAACP is the longest surviving black organization? Because for one, it was started by white people. And for two, it has the name that we are officially known by in the federal government as COLORED, the National Advancement for Colored People. For colored people. Colored people. I can't get around that. And I don't understand why nobody has thought about changing it from the NAACP to the NAABP or NAAAP. But colored people is something that's been sticking around for a long time. I want to give a shout out to Charles Satterwhite. Some people call it Satterwhite. But he has San Antonio Rising Stars Incorporated. If you want to reach him, go to charles.satterwhite. Let me see if I can hold this up and show it to you. That's Charles Satterwhite. That way you can give him a call, and he's working with our black youth in the community, and he's trying to give us some direction, give our kids some direction. So shout out to you, Brother Satterwhite. Keep it moving. But the Black Panther Party came up with a 10-point plan to restore black people back to America, to give black people not only an equal right playing field, but a better opportunity at survival. If you can remember, from 1950 till 2000s, we heard nothing about black people. We heard the 68 stuff going on with Martin Luther King and Jesse Jackson and Slick and all these other people, but nothing significant occurred for black people other than we were systematically removed from the system. We were systematically made poor. Our neighborhoods were systematically destroyed. They ran highways through our neighborhoods, destroying our stuff. So this list that the Black Panther Party came up with starts with 10 items. Number 1, the power to control our own destiny. Why? What does that mean? In other words, give us the capital, the resources to go and borrow the money we need from any given bank and allow us to go out and invest that money the way we want to. In other words, stop restraining us based on our credit score, because 9 out of 10 black people credit score is shot. The only thing we can do is ask that you as American give us an opportunity to get our due justice, to get what's due to us, and to give us that opportunity to define our own destiny. Give us full ability to own our own businesses and our own employees. But we can't do that because we can't afford to own a business unless you're involved in something where they're trying to elevate somebody and you just happen to be the lucky Negro in the room. Number 3, remove foreign businesses in impoverished neighborhoods. In other words, every single black neighborhood in the country got a Chinese restaurant. They got Chinese doing lots of things in all these neighborhoods and all these communities. Number 4, we should have the right to fair housing, where we shouldn't have to be restrained to a certain level of living, because that level of living affects us all across the board, up, down, and sideways the spectrum of being alive. There's no way you can expect us to not be who we were meant to be by God. Right to fair housing is something that's a God-given right. The entire education system has chosen to not let us know who we are by using the critical race theory and saying that we are not going to teach your history in elementary school, and we're not going to teach it because we don't want you knowing who you really are. That's why they're not teaching our history. They don't want you to know who you are because they already know if they do tell you that you're going to want to take over, which you are authorized in my mind. Black people being tailgated, followed around by the police, we don't need that anymore. We need the police to come above board, because there's been so many things going on in the police department that we are ashamed that we have to deal with. But that's the way it is. We have to deal with this stuff. Education, the critical race theory again, they don't want us to know our history. How do we get to know our history? The only way we're going to know our history is to teach ourselves our history and to document our history and not allow our history to not be told in every city of America. Everybody has a right to know. Release of prisoners. There's so many black people in prison right now that are not there for things that they have committed, but because the judge that sentenced them had the power to do so. If you had to go to court anytime in the past, this is number 9. If you had to go to court anytime in the past, then you know, and I know, that it is not a jury of your peers. Your peers may be black, but what color is your jurors? Your jurors is not always black. It is time for us, ladies and gentlemen, to go back, go way back to what we used to do. We need to go back to pressing our hair. We need to go back to being the natural. We need to go back to doing things the way we did back in the 50s. You know, at this point in time, I want to go to a commercial break and allow you to see what type of operation we're trying to run.
If I right now decided that I wanted to play Monopoly with you, and for 400 rounds of playing Monopoly, I didn't allow you to have any money, I didn't allow you to have anything on the board, I didn't allow for you to have anything. And then we played another 50 rounds of Monopoly, and everything that you gained and you earned while you were playing that round of Monopoly was taken from you. How can you win? How can you win?
Nikki Haley, Donald Trump, DeSantis all are talking about running for president. We're looking for a big fiasco again in Washington with these individuals. This is something we have to consider. If we're not eligible to vote right now, get registered. Go get registered, because your vote will matter when it comes time for this to be an election. All I'm saying is, give yourself that opportunity to make sure, if you vote, you're going to make sure your vote counts. Get registered, become a registered voter here in the United States of America. One man said, a wise man once said, give me the labor of one black man, and he would become wealthy. Then he said, give me the labor of 100 black men, and he would become wealthy, rich, wealthy. And then he said, give me the labor of 1 million black men, and he would become America, the United States, America. We were off to a corrupt foundation in the beginning of our lives. When we started here in America, everything was rough. We fought police from the very first day the Emancipation Proclamation was activated. We fought police from that day forward, and we still fight police. There are so many black men and women who've suffered because of this corrupt foundation. We have over 18,000 police departments. 18,000 police departments in the United States of America. And we're always talking about, let's increase the police budget because they help us lower the crime rate. And if that was the case, why is crime still going up and the budgets of the police still going up and nothing's getting better? We're just getting more people killed by increasing the police budget and increasing the police presence. Because when it says they are there to protect and serve, that's a goddamn lie. That is a goddamn lie. And that's the truth. Police are not there to protect and serve. If you want to lower the crime rate, then lower the poverty rate. Lower the poverty rate. If you want to stop crime, give people jobs. Most of the impoverished neighborhoods in America are in black communities. They're in the black community. And they're dissolving those black communities because they don't want you there. They want you moved from every damn where you go. And most of the time, God places you in a place where there's possessions that the earth yields. In other words, oil, gold, diamonds. Black people have owned all the land where all these riches were, and white people came in and took it. That is why I have this book that I would love for you to look up and read. It is called Indian Giver by Jack Weatherford. This book talks about all the things that America gave Indians and black people and turned right around and took it back. They gave you 40 acres and a mule and turned right around and took it back. But if you notice, between Abraham Lincoln and Andrew Johnson, those two presidents tried, well, even Kennedy, tried to do something for black people, and they were assassinated. Johnson became president after Kennedy, and he stopped all the momentum that Kennedy had working for black people. You want to stop the crime? Stop the police from killing black people. Why do we need our police who's making $100,000 a year to stop somebody for an expired sticker and end up killing that person, taking that person to jail, beating the shit out of that person, and now the city got to pay because they did some stupid shit out of there because of their ego? They edged God out. That's what that means. Your ego, you're edging God out. Why are they stopping you if you look suspicious? There's no reason for them to approach you and talk to you because you look suspicious. Doesn't that sound suspicious to you? You don't have to talk to anyone in America that you don't want to talk to. So just because you don't want to talk to the police, they can get belligerent with you and act real ignorant and take you to jail. And they love picking on 75-year-old black women It seems as though that's their MO right now, is to arrest and target older black people. What about the woman in Ohio with the water bill? They took her to jail for not paying a damn water bill. She over 60, 70 years old. Why the hell is she worried about a damn water bill? They snatched this other woman out of the car and broke her damn shoulder, and now she's physically incapable now of using her shoulder because they tore it up, dragging her out the car over a traffic stop. What is wrong with these police officers? They got too much power, and they don't have enough education. They got to be ignorant to do the shit that they do. They got to be plain out goddamn stupid. They are stupid to do the things that they do. Now, the 5 black officers that killed Kyrie Nichols is an anomaly. That is something so unusual that these black cops are that damn stupid where they would go and do something like that. That is ridiculous. And what's more ridiculous about that whole situation is they didn't just get started doing shit like that to black people. The black officers been doing this shit for a while. They just got caught this time. And now they all 5 damn officers are up on manslaughter charges. Manslaughter charges. Charges of killing somebody is a charge. I don't give a damn who you are. That means let's say each one of these people, if they had significant others, they had brothers and sisters, they had family members, they had parents, they had all these people surrounding them that are some kin to them. These 5 black officers in Memphis who did this stuff to Kyrie Nichols are now ruining the lives of hundreds of people. Hundreds of people. Not just a couple, but hundreds of people. On their own recognizance, thinking that they were above the law because they had a badge. And it happens all the time, but most of them don't get caught blatantly like these 5 assholes did. And it was more than just those 5. Don't get it twisted. It was a whole bunch of mofos part of that shit. So they disband the Scorpion unit in Memphis. Like that's gonna do something. All they're going to do is get reassigned and go keep doing the same shit they've been doing. We got to do something about that. With 18,000 different police forces in this country, all of them operating under their own authority, we got a problem. The origin of where police began is the problem. This has been a problem from day one. The police force. They are organized as slave catchers, and they are continuing their episodes and episodic ways today. They're still doing it. Thinking that they are slave catchers. And that a black person has no right to say no or to question their authority. And we continue to allow our city government to continue to fund these assholes. We got to do better, people. You want to hear? Ask Elijah McClain. Ask Elijah McClain. Ask Sandra Bland. Ask Freddie Gray. Ask Sandra or Breonna Taylor. Ask Dante Wright. Ask Eric Garner. Ask George Floyd. Ask Tyree Nichols if something is wrong with the police force. We don't have to say that all the time, but we know something's wrong with the police force. And if we don't do something about it soon, we're going to be in a world of hurt. Lastly, before we proceed to close, I'm going to tell you something I heard Dion say. Man up. A man can't cry when he need help. We got a problem. 100 suits and you can't cover the problem. 3 or 4 cars and you can't go nowhere. 2 or 3 girlfriends and you still ain't satisfied. A 2,000 square feet house and you still don't have a home. You drink to get drunk to cover up your problems and they're still there. 40 pair of shoes and you can't take a step in the right direction. There's a cry for help out there for black men in America, and we really need to pay attention. This is the Black News Network, the real voice of Military City, USA, bringing you the news from the desk of the Emissary, broadcasting on Wednesdays at 6:30 and again on Sunday at 3:30. Subscribe to us on Facebook, or like us on Facebook and subscribe to us on YouTube. Join us on Instagram under the Black News Network. We're asking you to come out and support the Get Out the Vote campaign, because we're looking for a black leader and we got to find one soon, because if we don't, we're going to be in a world of hurt. It's very sad that we as black people have to step back and ask people not to just kill us when they feel like it. If you want to know who the alpha is in your group, look at the one that's the most quiet. That is the one who got the most to say. But they're not trying to overtalk anybody. They're not trying to lead anybody. They're waiting for you to say, hey, I respect what you know. I respect your leadership style, and I want you to lead us out of this bondage. Because right now, we are in bondage. We are in mental bondage. We're in physical bondage. We're in educational bondage. We're in economical bondage. We're in every type of bondage you can think of. This is the Black News Network. Don't forget, we need to look at who the Indian givers took all our stuff from. Never confuse your education with your intelligence, because they're not the same. With that, this is the Black News Network. I'll see you Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. on the Black News Network. Thank you so much for joining us out here today. Have a nice day.